Urban exploring is something that a lot of people are genuinely fascinated by, but most people will never do within their lifetime. You know, when I was a teenager and I was a bit more of a shithead, I used to urban explore. Now, I don't have anything to show for it except for a couple scars on my hands and a different perspective on how people live through their lives. But there's even a step further than that. And even fewer people will do this step that's even further. And that step is called train hopping. For those of you who don't know, train hopping is basically when you try to sneak onto a freight train and hide within the cargo containers or, you know, whatever thing it might be carrying, and you try to sneak your way from point A to point B of wherever that train is going. You hop on and off, try to sneak your entire way through. Hopefully you don't get caught, but if you do, it can get pretty bad depending on where you live. You know, and I found that a lot of people think of America when they think of train hopping. You know, stories of the 1930s when the Great Depression was happening and people were trying to move to a new city to start over life, but they couldn't pay for, you know, their basic travel. So instead they hopped on freight trains and got free rides. A lot of people think of this when they think of freight hopping, but I actually think about Europe. And more specifically, I think of the Eastern Bloc of Europe. Specifically, two channels that I think are fantastic at showing what urban exploring is and what train hopping is. So let's talk about those channels. So in my eyes, there's two main different ways that you can kind of document your travels through these insane places. And that's with either like a POV style. Someone would wear like a GoPro on their head or something like that, and they would show you like the real down and dirty, minimal editing, kind of like what it's really like. And the person that comes to mind when I think of that is Shy. Shy is a YouTube channel boasting about 2 million subs, and he makes these styles of videos where he hops on a train, tries to get from point A to point B. It's almost kind of like a mission, and he does this all with a GoPro and a selfie stick and a head mount, basically. I mean, Shy has gone everywhere from USSR bunkers in Eastern Bloc countries to train hopping all the way across Croatia. He has done a lot of things, and the biggest thing that he's ever done is he went on 2 separate trips to Chernobyl on a stalking mission is what it's called. They basically would get dropped off on the forest edge and walk their way through all the way until they hit Chernobyl, stay there for a day or so, and then walk all the way back. He's done this twice, once during the summer and once during the winter, and I gotta say, it was really entertaining to watch. I mean, he's shown pretty much everything from getting caught to his most successful train hops and everything. I mean, the guy is really just showing you exactly what it's like to train hop. He even shows you how he sleeps and his setup for sleeping and stuff like that. And then there's the second way, where you take a bit more of a production look at things and you try to make it a bit more palatable for more people to watch. The best channel I think does this is a channel called Gift Gas, and if you're familiar with Shy, you may know them as Poison. Now, the way that Poison does these sorts of things is they take a DSLR and a GoPro and they try to train hop across different European countries. And while they're on the train, they take out their DSLR and shoot some really, really pretty B-roll. And it almost, you know, in those like films where that's like moving away in the summer and it's like a kid who has to try to acclimate to a new school, and there's all these like nice B-roll shots while their family is like moving across state or whatever, or to a new town, and it's all these like beautiful landscapes and they're just like looking out the window the entire time. That's kind of what it feels like. They pump in some like really nice ambient music while the train is going across these beautiful landscapes in the middle of nowhere. It is absolutely phenomenal. And then during the times where they're waiting for the train, or Poison's like talking about the plan that they're going about or whatever, that's when they use the GoPro, and it's all like from the point of view of a head, so they use a head mount and such. And I gotta say, Poison really does have a talent for this shit. I mean, they get some really phenomenal, pretty fucking shots, man. It is so beautiful to watch Poison's videos. And listen, I can't tell exactly what lens they're using for the DSLR, but it is a nice lens. It gets some really pretty shots. You know, it looks nice. I don't know if it's a nice lens per se or whatnot, but it gets the job done, and Poison is able to make it look pretty. They throw a nice LUT on the footage, so you get nice color grading and everything. Like, I don't know what to say. Like, for the most dirty possible time sink activity you could do, which is train hopping, it really makes it look beautiful. And I mean, it shows you kind of the reason why they do it. It's for these beautiful landscaping shots and stuff. And it's kind of like a romanticized look at this really like dangerous, dirty hobby that a lot of people have. So now that you know the two people that we're going to be focusing on in this video, you might be asking, hey, this sounds super illegal. How illegal is it? And I'll tell you now. So this is super illegal, like pretty much everywhere. Pretty much everywhere there is some sort of law that says that it's illegal to train hop. And it's kind of different depending on where you are. Some countries give you like a slap on the wrist fine. Some countries arrest you. Some countries give you a bigger fine. Some countries bar you from entry if you're foreign. It depends on where you're at and stuff. For instance, the way that I got into train hopping YouTube is my buddy Corbo showed me a series called Brave Dave's Big Fat Freight Hop, where Brave Dave tries to get from the eastern coast of Canada to the western coast of Canada, only traveling by freight train. It is a fantastic video. It's kind of old, so it's a little hard on the ears from time to time, but it is a fantastic series that shows you exactly what train hopping is like. It's more of a POV perspective, more of a vlog style perspective. In the middle of this big fat freight hop, he gets clept, he gets caught in the middle of nowhere. And he's trying to make a run for it, trying to dodge this bull who is a train yard security, and he's like having kind of a really hard time with it. At the time, he had his mask off because he wasn't expecting this to happen, and he eventually got away, but there was nothing around for except for like plains and like wheat grass and stuff, so it was hard, but he eventually got away. And you know, that series got pretty popular, so he was like, okay, next year I'll go from west coast to east coast and we'll try to use a different line and stuff. And then when he tried to fly back into the country, he had left the UK and landed in Canada, and then Canadian Border Control pulled him across and put him in an office room and was just kind of like, hey, you have a warrant basically for freight hopping. And he was like, what? That's crazy. And they basically said, hey, if you just want to turn around and go back to the UK, like, we won't arrest you, but you can't go into Canada. Like, you're barred from entering Canada for a certain amount of years. And that's how that ended. Like, you know, stuff like this is pretty illegal, is what I'm trying to point out to you. And I mean, even so, like, if you see Shy's videos, I mean, he's always wearing a mask. If he's not wearing a mask, he blurs his face. Like, he's always like trying to protect his own identity and what he looks like. And I mean, Poison goes as far as to even blur their shadow from time to time, and you never see their face. And even in Shy's videos, when you do see their face, it's always like super blurred. And also in Poison's videos, they use a voice modulator to pitch their voice down. You gotta hide your identity, like, because it is super illegal what they're doing. So you gotta look out for yourself. And that's what I'm kind of trying to point out, is that it is dangerous and it is illegal. But I think it's also really cool perspective that most people will never get to see. So I think it's important, which I think is the next question I'm going to answer, is why is this even interesting? I think the main reason of why is dependent on who you ask. For me, for instance, I love the anticipation and the tension that these videos provide. The anticipation of like waiting for a train, because some of the countries they go to don't have great rail schedules. It's hard to get your hands on an actual like freight schedule, so they end up having to wait sometimes like a day or two even. And this anticipation of them waiting at the yard and just like, oh, maybe a train will come, maybe it'll come, like, I don't know, it's a special kind of anticipation that's really hard to come by. Now you can see my cat. That's Gulliver. He's baby. And I mean, like, they get so genuinely like thrilled when a train comes and they're able to catch it. It is a certain kind of joy that is hard to come by in your own life. And they showcase it. Like some of the train hops, they wait like a couple days. So when the train finally comes, it's like beautiful. Although then there's another kind of anticipation of how far will this train take them. Some trains will take them like 30 minutes, then their locomotive will detach and then they'll be stuck in the middle of nowhere again. Or some trains will take them from like halfway through their journey all the way to the end. It's this beautiful like tension. And then of course there's a tension of like, do they get caught? Are they able to get the footage? Like, are they going to be able to get on safely? Are they going to be able to get off safely? Is the bull gonna see them and chase them out? Like, I remember Shai did this video of train hopping through multiple different countries in the EU, and I forgot what country they were in, but they got caught on the way off of a train when it was coming into a station. I think it was a border station, so it was a bit heavier security. And they got caught, and they had to like run up this mountain. They had like people searching for them, and they had to like run through this town. It was insane. It was crazy. That's something that most people will never have to deal with or see ever. And it is really interesting and cool to kind of see that, like see something that you'll never have to deal with. Not only that, but you know, sometimes they're traveling alone, or they may be traveling with a friend. Like Shai recently has been traveling a lot with Poison, and like it really showcases like their personalities too, which I think is fun, because I think it's kind of cool. Poison's actually like really funny in a sneaky way. Like there was one video, I forget what country it was. I will try to find it. Any of these videos I mention, they will be down below if you want to see the references. He was looking at this map that talked about all these animals that were in this park, and he goes like, oh man, this is like a really cool map about like animals and stuff. Wish I could read it. Too bad it's in Minecraft enchantment language, because it was written in Cyrillic. And it's like, I don't know, I wasn't expecting that from Poison, so like I just laughed really hard. And like Shai is like this really kind of like goofy, like loving dude. I don't know, like it is really fun to see like their personalities peek through just a little bit while they're in this incredibly stressful situation. And I think the most fascinating part for me is like looking inside of a culture that I'm not a part of. Like, I'm not European, and I'm especially not Eastern Bloc. I'm, you know, American, sadly. And the culture of these places that they're in is insane. Like they sometimes will drop like little nuggets about like whatever place they're train hopping, and it is really fun to learn like the culture from somebody who's so close and not like diluted from America's weird perspective on the rest of the world. Like they recently did a train hop through Montenegro. Well, at least recently, since I'm recording this. Poison just dropped like a bunch of facts about why it's such a new country, like the voting process to make itself its own country, and why it's so small, and all this other stuff. Like it was really interesting. And I haven't been able to find this video, but there was one video by Shai. If anybody knows it, please tell me. I've been trying to find it for ages. Where he was in this town in this European country, and all the buildings had like bullet holes all the way through them. Like they had all these like bullet hole pings, and he was talking about how there was like a war like years ago, and they just haven't ever fixed the town, and it was like invaded, and there's like bullet holes all around this town and stuff, and they just never really fixed the walls. So all these walls have like bullet holes in it from like decades ago. It's truly like fascinating, the amount of history that you're able to learn through like these weird videos about like hopping on a freight train and illegally traveling. So like, why am I mentioning this all to you? Because I'm trying to explain to you, it's not just like hopping on a freight train and like fucking around in a cargo container and then like getting off. Like it's not just that. There's little pieces of like humanity and tension and drama. Like it is real life, but it's so stressful. It's such a stressful situation that it almost plays out like a play. So now you might be asking, hey, since this is really illegal and kind of dangerous and stuff, how is this even on YouTube? Like they banned almost every other like dangerous YouTuber. Like how is this even on YouTube? So here's the thing. It is on YouTube, but like just barely. Like Shai has multiple backup channels. I'm sure Poison has backup channels. Like it is like if I remember correctly, I remember them saying that it's like impossible to get monetized. So they both have Patreons. I mean, shit, Poison has a Bitcoin address wallet in their descriptions. Like I'm sure they make zero money from YouTube ads. I'm sure of it. Like without Patreon and without, you know, donations or whatever, I can genuinely say I don't think these types of creators would exist. I really don't. I mean, it's hard to like make a YouTube channel without any kind of financial backing. I mean, that's why animators died in the early days of YouTube, because monetization shifted from preferring quality content and just, you know, any content really, to preferring like daily uploads and stuff like that. So animators just kind of had to die out for a while. I mean, now it's a bit different, obviously. For some reason, these videos keep getting recommended to people, and people like them, and so the algorithm picks up on that and shows it to more people, even though they aren't monetized, which is weird because that's normally how that works. Like I've noticed that I watched I watched one train hopping series on my YouTube channel. It was Brave Days Big Fat Freight Hop, like I said before. And then I got suggested the Shy video like multiple years ago. Shy was not even a big channel at the time. I think he might have had like 100k subs or something like that. Then he just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And you know, since he traveled to Poison, I started watching Poison's channel, and like it is interesting how fast these creators can possibly grow for channels that aren't monetized at all. That is fascinating to me. And they wouldn't exist without Patreon and without, you know, donations and stuff like that, which it's cool that they're able to do it, because I think they're important to the platform. And I mean, also on top of all that, like once you start watching these kinds of videos, you tend to try to show everybody them. The amount of friends I've sat down like, I know it's a 20-minute video, but please just watch. It is so interesting. It is so fun. Like it's a hard sell, but a lot of people who end up watching it end up really liking it. So they end up continuing to watch later. And I think that's cool. I think these types of channels are the types of channels that are really important for the YouTube ecosystem, because there's something different. There's something extremely different, which is what I'm going to talk about next. So this is a little bit like the concluding of thoughts, the uniqueness about them, and yada yada. Find it on YouTube. You can find all this stuff on YouTube. All their channels are going to be linked below, as well as like certain videos that I mentioned and shout out. So they're all going to be down there if you want to see more of these types of creators and this type of content. I mean, really, they are just genuinely the most unique like content creators on this platform. It feels weird even calling them content creators. I don't think of them as content creators, but they are. Like I think of them as train hoppers. I think of them as freight hoppers. It's weird. Like I think of a streamer and like most other YouTubers as content creators, but I don't think of Shy and Gift Gas as content creators, because they do something so different and so unique to themselves. And I mean, there's more channels even than what I mentioned. There's some people who do it in America, some people who do it in Canada, some people who do it in like Europe. Like they're all over. You can find them. And like it's interesting because I've never watched content that really made me put my own life into perspective. And I feel like this is the only content that's really made me do that, because I was like, man, I love this type of lifestyle. I mean, I'm into folk punk. Like they're all train hoppers, they're all freight hoppers for the most part. I mean, not all of them obviously, but a lot of them are. It's part of the subculture. Like I kind of want to do that. And I started thinking about it more, and I was like, why don't I? Well, I have a job that pays pretty decently. I have a YouTube channel, but I could make content from this, so that doesn't really matter. I have a partner that I love and that I don't want to leave behind. I have a cat, as you saw, that is very loving and gooey and definitely codependent. I have a bunch of reptiles that I really like and I would miss. And it's like, it kind of shows you like almost what's most important in your life in a weird way. Like it shows you like listen, I don't love my job, but I'd quit my job if I could. Like, but it pays well enough, so it's like, well, I don't really want to lose it because it pays really well. Like thinking about it in that way refocuses your life in a strange way that I've never had ever before from just like some YouTube content, you know? But anyways, that's super off topic. Like I said before, anything you want to see that I've mentioned is going to be down in the description. Please watch Shy and watch Gift Gas. They are fantastic creators. They're awesome. They make some of the most unique content on the platform that has ever existed, I think, honestly. If you want to see more video essays, I'm still here. You can subscribe if you want to do that. If you don't, then you know, that's fine. That's up to you. I have some new stuff coming out, so that'll be coming out soon. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.